All right, guys, welcome back to the Banter podcast. I'm Korey, here with Kyle. You are smiling so
Hi.
like a very scary smile. And Brennan's here too. We're back with the actual format. If you guys caught last week, it was a
took a bit of a vacation.
Yeah, we had a good tertiary. What did you say?
LeBron James. We had LeBron on the pod.
Yes, we had LeBron on the pod.
LeBron did well subbing in for me. I listened to the podcast. He sounds like a natural.
Yeah, he did a really great job.
Appreciate him coming out.
Shout out to Mind the Game podcast. Listen to LeBron on all platforms. Anyway, we're here with the Banter podcast, not to be confused with any other podcast. And we're just going to hop right into it with a lot of different headlines for this week.
Yeah.
Lots of different playoff games happening and
Very exciting.
Two different leagues.
Yeah.
So very exciting stuff.
Conference
So as we begin here, just a review of our format. Our two analysts are going to try to answer 10 questions and reach agreements on them in a 25-minute period. After every question, if they disagree, they're going to have a 35-second monologue basically describing their own opinions, followed by a minute 30 of trying to reach a compromise on that. And that can be agreeing to one person's side or reaching somewhere in the middle. And then, if they actually just agree right from the start, then it'll be a minute. Either way, they're going to get 10 points across the podcast. If they don't, then they will be punished unless they can save themselves in a 2-minute speed round at the end of the episode.
Was the speed round listed on? No.
No, it is not.
It was not.
But I'm ready.
That's right. All right.
I'm ready. You guys are not. Well, actually, I'm not really ready because my cards for it are over there, but we'll get it. We'll get to it whenever we get to it. So it's going to be great. You guys ready to jump in here?
Let's go.
Heck yeah.
All right. 25 minutes starts now. So as we look at the NBA conference finals here, who is the biggest X factor in this Celtics-Pacers series? Pretty basic in terms of a question here.
It's going to surprise some people. I think.
Who you got? Okay, you guys disagree.
All right.
And from different teams, let's start with Kyle.
All right, so I said Drew Holiday, and I think my reasoning for this is I think a team is only strong enough as its weakest link, and all due respect to Drew Holiday, at least offensively, I think that is Boston's weakest link. I think he did pretty well against Halliburton in Game 1. Actually, outscored Halliburton playing against him, or just linking up against him. And all due respect to Indianapolis, that's their main focal point of offense. So once that gets moved to their big men, I definitely trust Boston's big men over Indy's.
Yeah, Drew Holiday with his season high in Game 1.
Really? It was season high. Wow, there you go.
Yep. Brennan, who you got?
I said TJ McConnell of the Indiana Pacers. Now, this dude is one of the best six-mans in the league. And when you look at the Pacers, a team that's so flashy, a very young team, and all the offensive ability that they're able to do, and you have that level of depth, and that's being led by TJ McConnell. This man can do it all in the playoffs. This year he's averaging 10.9 points a game, 5.2 assists in 20 minutes of play. He pushes the pace. He is the guy on offense when Tyrese Halliburton isn't out there. Even when Tyrese Halliburton is out there, this dude is doing everything. He's great defensively in the playoffs as well. This dude he can just do it all.
All right, so we got to reach somewhere in the middle here. Let's talk it out, guys.
Okay.
I'll let you, go ahead.
All right, so I said TJ McConnell because there were a lot, and Frank, if I was going to go a Celtic, I was going to say a guy like Derek White. But with someone like TJ McConnell, what I really looked for is someone on that team that can do everything. And a guy like Tyrese Halliburton, he's going to make plays offensively, but he's not really great defensively. And same with the rest of the guy Not the guy you want. TJ McConnell, on the other hand, this guy can do everything, and when he's playing well, the rest of the team is playing well. I mean, in some of the games, this dude is literally carrying the Pacers with Obi Toppin. I think him and Toppin, and I think it was the Bucks series, they outscored, I think, the entire Bucks bench, 42-2 or something. Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. So when this guy's going, there's no stopping the pace because he's just a scrappy player, and that's what you want.
I think the Pacers probably slightly outtake the Celtics on bench players, I would say, because you mentioned Obi
especially
Toppin,
with Kristaps being out and then having to rely
Porzingis is out. Yeah,
some of the other
that's
guys
fair. I do agree with that, and I do think McConnell has done great things, especially during the playoffs. But I do want to give Holiday his flowers. I think he did very, very terrifically against Halliburton, and I think probably the more correct answer, that makes a lot of sense. The more correct answer right now probably would be McConnell, but honestly, I do think that Holiday could maybe not a sneaky pick for if they do end up winning to be like. Not an MVP maybe because that would probably go to 4 other dudes before him. But I think when you look back, if they do win this year, they're going to say, "Wow, Drew Holiday played very well."
See, the thing with McConnell, the thing with Holiday and why he's keeping me from him being the X factor is that he's doing exactly what the Celtics need.
Oh, sure, yeah, totally.
Yeah. TJ McConnell
is a lot more surprising.
He's like the scrappy player. You don't know what you're going to get.
He's the maker.
He's the maker break.
So I can take that as an X factor kind of thing, and I think you guys agreed on that. So that's going to be your first of hopefully 10 agreements today. So let's hop into the other series as far as the NBA Conference Finals goes. In the West, Kyrie Irving just dropped 30 points in Game 1. He was the primary option for the entire first half as Luka kind of took a breather before breaking out in the second half. So with that being said, do we think that Kyrie Irving at this point in his career can solidify himself as a top 10 point guard of all time? And if so, what does he need to do to make that happen?
That's kind of a long,
a
long stretch. But
I'm
kind of frame these questions a little differently.
Sure. So you guys think that there's an agreement that you want to talk about for a minute, or do you kind of disagree with his? Because I think that's a little bit of a short-term idea.
Okay, this is what I had right here, and that's kind of similar to what he had. Almost.
Whoa. I mean that's kind of the same, but yeah, we'll talk for a minute. But Brennan, please mention exactly.
So I said it was a long shot, but I think it is possible. I mean, Kyrie Irving. Why did I say
Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill.
Kyrie Irving. He's already 32 years old, and I'd say he's around like the 20-ish range, like the late teens. Yeah, like around the 20s, right there. And looking at all the guys that I would consider inside the top 10 right now, the least amount of first-team All-Pros they have is 3. Isaiah Thomas. He's got 3. I would consider him a top 10 point guard of all time. There are 3 players in the top 10 without a title, those being Stockton, Nash, and Paul. I would consider those guys a top 10 point guard. Yeah. And then the least amount of All-Stars is 7 with Steve Nash. Sure. Again, another top 10 point guard. Kyrie, he has 1 NBA title. He has 3 All-NBAs, so not first team, but just All-NBAs, and he has 8 All-Star games. Sure. The All-Star games is fine. The NBA title works well. I need to see him be like in an All-NBA.
No. And that's what I said. I said one more championship. Not only just that, but also one more personal award. So if that's an All-NBA, if that is a All-Star game or something like that, I think that is pretty critical. But you want to look at, he's probably of our era the most like efficient and like best offensive guard. Yeah, I would want to argue like all around offensively. I think he's the best guard of our era.
So who are you taking off of that top 10 list then? If he's moving into it.
Do you want to give me the top 10 list here? Because honestly, I think he could make a very, very strong argument if he does.
He's top 10.
Because I think in the next 4 to 6 years, he could probably win a championship in Dallas.
I agree with, especially with Luka there and the team they got going on. I mean, the guys like borderline right now, they're top 10. I mean, Jason Kidd, Bob Cousy. Like
he can beat out both those guys.
Tony Parker.
He can beat out all 3 of those guys. I think.
Nash,
maybe Steve Nash.
Maybe not Steve Nash, but
Russell
Gary Payton is like a borderline top 10.
He can beat out Russell Westbrook, I think.
Okay.
The no title for Russell really brings
No, but I think if he gets 2 titles, I mean that's more than a lot of these guys. I think he could. I think he's at least borderline top 10 if he gets a second title.
All right.
He's in the cover. I think even right now, I think he's in the cover.
So with that being said, let's stop wasting time in the NBA and let's head to the NHL because they also have their conference finals going on. Edmonton specifically, to get to the conference finals, they just took down the Vancouver Canucks in a 7-game series. So before we head into the conference finals specifically, what does this Vancouver team that we just saw, what do we think their timeline is to win a Stanley Cup? Because I know Kyle and I were talking last week, he kind of said it was a lightning in a bottle kind of situation for Vancouver, but do we think that there's something they can make happen? So, okay.
2 years.
All right, so yeah, he really doesn't think it's going to happen. You think that there's still a brief window.
There's a very, very brief window.
So let's hear from Kyle first.
I honestly, the only game out of that 7-game series against Edmonton that there was not a 1-goal game was Game 6, and the Canucks pivoted on all of their backup goalies for that series, which I think was an incredible accomplishment to get 7 games against a team like Edmonton. So if Demko can stay healthy and they can keep him for a certain amount of time, I think that is definitely more possible, especially from what they showed me this year. And they did have the Coach of the Year this year, but like I don't know. I do think that margin of error is very, very razor thin right now. So I probably wouldn't say 1 year, 2 years. I think maybe is.
And Brennan, why do you think there's no shot?
Unfortunately, I don't see them winning the cup at all. And I mean, this isn't just a Canucks thing. I think this is a Canadian hockey team thing in general. I mean, you look at these teams right now. Edmonton, they're still in the playoffs right now. They're playing well, but the Dallas Stars are a very good hockey team. And then whoever wins out of the West, I think, is going to lose to an Eastern Conference team, whether that be the Rangers or the Panthers. If the Canadians and the Senators aren't great, and then the Flames, the Maple Leafs always choke in the playoffs.
Flames didn't do very well.
So this isn't just about the Canucks. I think the Canucks, they had a great shot, and I agree with you. Like, it's a very small margin window for them to win. But especially with everything going on, I mean, you just see a lot of players not wanting to go to Canadian teams with the high taxes. Especially with the smaller NHL contracts that you see compared to
and I'm not even sure if Vancouver would have beaten Dallas in this series, like, at all, honestly.
I don't think they would have.
Because I think Dallas is just so much better.
It sucks because Vancouver was kind of like, they were kind of like, I don't want to say America's team and Canada's team, but they were kind of like that vibe. You know?
It was
they were a fun team you wanted to watch.
A little bit of a Cinderella.
A little bit of a Cinderella run, but unfortunately,
I think if they do have a chance, it's now or never.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's definitely an agreement for you guys there. So that's going to be 3. And as we stay in the NHL, flip side of Vancouver, Florida Panthers have all the momentum right now in the NHL playoffs. So after game 1, what do the New York Rangers need to do to stop them?
It's kind of a basic answer, but...
Well, it's a different one. Brennan, let's hear from you first.
Okay. So I said don't beat themselves, and I'm going to get into Kyle's answer a little bit here because that's exactly what they didn't do. They didn't shoot the puck. But the reason why they didn't shoot the puck was because Florida pressured them, and they weren't able to be themselves and be that shooting the puck, controlling kind of team. They had a lot of mental errors, a lot of miscommunication, which led to a lot of turnovers, missed shots, and just not a lot of shooting. And a big reason is, like I said, the Florida pressure. But as the team like the Rangers, you have to be able to overcome that pressure. And it may just be like a game 1 kind of thing, know, like outside of like 2 games against Carolina, you pretty much steamrolled through these playoffs. You're not going to win the Stanley Cup unless you have competition.
No, and I totally agree with a lot of that. And I honestly, a lot of my points for my notes here kind of do lead into don't beat yourself up about this. Because honestly, this could be a thing where it's game 1. Oh, they didn't set it right. Kind of like how Miami beat Boston in the NBA at game 2. Kind of like why that really happened. They had kind of everything for them, but they still somehow lost. They didn't shoot the puck enough against Florida. I was going to say Carolina. That's the NFL.
Beat them.
Yeah, they didn't shoot the puck enough in game 1, and there was a span of 14 minutes in the second period. We can just bleed this into the agreement time here. It's a span of 14 minutes in the second period where they didn't shoot the puck once, the Rangers, which is really, really incredible. So I don't know exactly what happens because I think offensively you just got to go full speed ahead because not a lot's going to get past Rossi as he kind of should.
Exactly, yeah. And I mean, I think what you got to do is, in order to be able to shoot the puck more, you have to play your own game. Like, you can't let Florida control the pace of the game and not even let you get back to their own zone and to the opposing zone. So, because like the entire time, a lot of the reason why the Rangers weren't able to shoot the puck and didn't was because Florida kept them in the defensive zone the entire time and played aggressively. And I just think that has everything to do with the Rangers playing their own game, controlling the tempo of their own game, and by doing that, then they'll be able to shoot the puck.
And I expect the second game to be maybe not a win for the Rangers, but it's going to be, I think, a lot.
I think it'll be a lot better too, especially in.
They're going to change the lineup a little bit. They're going to.
Well, with that being said, I think you guys kind of are implying here that this series is in the hands of the Rangers. But do you think that Florida kind of has, like, it seems to me like Florida has their hands on this series here.
Florida has their hands on the series, like, right now, but I don't know if they have. I don't know if they're going to keep their hands. The longevity. They did it last year, so that's definitely in their favor. But the Rangers this year
is a more trustworthy team.
They're a more trustworthy team. They're a different animal coming out of there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Florida won because, again, they did it last year. They've already proven they can upset some of these big
I think
teams.
If there is a year for the Rangers, though, it's this year.
Yeah, so if they make that shift, then this is really in the hands of the New York Rangers. So that's going to be 4 agreements here. We're going to hop over to the MLB. So, the Yankees, they're killing it right now, but Hal Steinbrenner just said that their current payroll is not sustainable and not something that he wants. So, is there anyone or anything that the Yankees can afford to lose here and still be the top 10 in the top team in the AL East? Because that sounds like a crazy thing to me.
Oh my, how do you...
Do you know how to write, Brennan? What is going on? Wow. All right.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, it's not the same thing that you said.
Sure. So I said Giancarlo Stanton. No disrespect to him. Just in the process of eliminating guys that you need to get rid of for any sport, really, it's the guys that are typically older and then have big contracts, and that's both for Stanton. I think he's 34, 35.
He's around there,
and he's making God knows how much money, and not even how much money, but also going into I think 2028, player option 2029. Plain and simple, that's just typically the guy, and designated hitter is not. I mean, for me, I would think is not a vital need, particularly when they have Juan Soto, when they have Aaron Judge, they have guys that can, hit the ball 400 feet every game.
Yeah. All right. So I also said Stanton pretty much for the same reasons. I mean, they have Jason Dominguez coming up as well, and Stanton's had a great year so far as well. But I think Jason Dominguez, when he comes back, can be better. I also said DJ LeMahieu and Nestor Cortez. DJ LeMahieu, kind of the same situation as Giancarlo Stanton. He hasn't played much, if at all, this year. But when he has played, he's shown that age. He's shown he's a bit older. And I think the Yankees can benefit from having a third baseman other than LeMahieu. I forget who's starting. I think it's Oswaldo Perez right now. And then Cortez, someone's going to have to come back. And Cole's coming back, and there's an odd man out.
Sure.
So I'll kind of count that as an agreement for you guys. But, I mean, I want to ask both of you the same question here. Is that, do you really think that Steinbrenner is right here, that you can get rid of your payroll and still have success?
Absolutely. I mean, look at the Tampa Bay Rays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have no payroll.
They have
still.
Yeah.
Sure.
I actually saw something. Brewers. I saw like a head-to-head between the Rays and the Yankees.
Exactly.
It was pretty damn close.
Since the Yankees World Series in like 2009.
And
exactly the same.
The Rays have paid 10 times less money.
Yeah, you can definitely do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Steinbrenner, maybe in the right. Maybe I'm crazy. We already knew that, though. So let's go to the NFL. As Dak Prescott's contract negotiations, you talk about an old guy with a lot of money that is probably going to go his way. As those drag on, what do you think Dak Prescott's true value is, especially as it pertains to the Dallas Cowboys themselves?
Okay.
That's kind of.
I want to say something.
All right, go Kyle.
So I was looking at it, and honestly, it's a weird situation for Dak because honestly, I do think when comparatively looking at the other quarterbacks that are making more and about the same as him, I think he is worth the money he is making in Dallas, which I think is about $40 million a year. Mm-hmm. But it's a weird thing. I do think he's on the tier right now. I don't know if Brennan would agree with me. He's on the level of like Stafford, Cousins, Mayfield level.
I agree with that, yeah.
Of he's not going to win you football games every week like some of the guys higher up are going to, but like certainly
he's solid enough.
And it would be weird, honestly, to see him in any other jersey at this point. I feel like because he's been there for since 2016.
Yeah,
sure. And Brennan, you kind of want to
so I said $45 million. And the way I looked at this, I looked at it closer to market value of quarterbacks. So obviously he's not going to be making upwards of $50 million, even though I'd say. I mean, he's probably around the same level as. He's a little bit worse than Jalen Hurts. He's probably around the same level as Justin Herbert, a little bit worse than Goff. But then you got guys around the $45 million where maybe because Deshaun Watson's making $46 million. So it's kind of like an awkward place because like you said, like Stafford, Mayfield, all those quarterbacks, they're making significantly less, but
their plays
with their plays. And Dak Prescott, I'd say he's on the upper tier of that.
Yeah.
He's like a Dallas Cowboy. He's going to be paid. I mean, the $45 million, that puts him right at the Kirk Cousins level.
Yeah.
It's even more than Josh Allen is getting paid.
Which is a little absurd.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think him out of, honestly, everyone else in the league is kind of in a weird spot because I don't really know. Because he's been in Dallas for however long. Because I don't really know exactly how he can transverse among other NFL teams.
The problem I'm having with this is you have guys like Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray making $46 million and Daniel Jones who completely reset that market making $42 million, which is just absurd. So screw Daniel Jones for making this question hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely
because
that.
Again, you look at the guys around him, you're like, oh, he's definitely better than most of them.
He's better than
But then the guys above him, you're like, you can make an argument.
It's like there's some guys above him that you're like, oh, Dak Prescott's better than. But then you look at the list below and you get Patrick Mahomes, you get Josh Allen. He's like, there's no way he's better than.
No way in any universe you take.
So I think between like $40-45 million is definitely a fair value.
It seems absurd, but I think that's where the market is at now. Yeah, paid. Mm-hmm. I would agree with $45 million.
Yes. Sure. So that inflated market is going to give Dak Prescott a little bit more money, even though he says himself that he's willing to take a little bit less. So that's going to be 6 agreements for you guys.
I was using it.
So that's going to be 6 agreements for you guys as we move over. What league you guys want to go to? Kyle, where do you want to go?
Let's do another NBA one here.
Awesome, that sounds good. Because the All-NBA teams just got announced. So who's the biggest snub for you from these top 15 players? Remember, we are now positionless on the All-NBA team, so amen to that. That's going to be a great thing going forward. Especially as we look at like all the defensive teams and stuff. So.
No, I'm just saying over here.
Oh.
Yeah, over. Okay, so they're agreeing on Jaylen Brown. So how are we getting him in there, boys?
All right, so who'd you say?
I said over Booker, but honestly, I'm not too horribly convinced I didn't kind of nail it. If I'm being quite honest with you, I'm just saying when you look at the stats that he put out, and I said over Booker, but I know it's positionless, but I think the third NBA team could have used another forward. Let me look at my notes here. Yeah, he played 2 more games with Booker this year. Had a whole rebound more, but far less assists per game. So honestly, depends on what kind of player you're looking for.
Yeah,
and actually had pretty comparable stats to Kawhi, who made his second.
Exactly. Team, I just talked about Kawhi. I said, well, him and Kawhi were the only 2 shooting guards at small forwards average 23 or more points a game while shooting 49% or more from the field goal.
And
35% from beyond the arc.
Jaylen Brown's 3-point percentage.
You also got to consider Jaylen Brown played for the best team in the league this year.
So it is absurd to think that the Celtics don't have another guy.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. Particularly Jaylen Brown.
Especially since Phoenix, I mean, you talking about Devin Booker, Phoenix has 2. Like, because they also had Durant.
Yeah, and they had
Beal. And LA also had 2.
Yeah, it feels like when you're 1A, I don't know if you're 1A, 1B with Jason Tatum on that team. You kind of are in the sense of how Boston fans are treating it. But
you're like a 1B, 2A.
You're like 1B, 2A. Yeah, exactly.
That's
but the way you're looking at that, and you're the best team in the league, you have Jason Tatum, and then you have Jaylen Brown right there.
It's kind of more of like everyone else fell out enough to the point where, unfortunately, Jaylen Brown was omitted.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But I think if you could make an argument.
So let's try to slide Jaylen Brown in there next year, voters, but he's got all his money coming his way soon anyway. So it's going to be okay for him. So as we head back to the NFL, let's also talk about rankings here, but with team rankings, because NFL.com just released its list of the top 10 most complete teams in the NFL. So it's kind of an interesting thing to look at. They said that San Francisco was the most complete team.
What? Or the eraser.
So San Francisco is the most complete team according to that ranking. So what do you guys like most about the way they did this, what they put on there? Kind of giving you guys an open look here.
Okay, yeah, this is kind of a weird answer because I wasn't a huge fan of this list itself.
You can go ahead, Brennan.
So I said giving the Niners the respect they deserve. And I mean, honestly, the 49ers, they don't have to pay Brock Purdy, so they're the best. I think they're the most complete team in the league, which is something I do agree with this list, and I can go on a whole nother rabbit hole about how much I disagree with the rest of it. But the Niners, I'm glad they didn't put a team like the Ravens or the Chiefs over them, because in all honesty, the depth and the completion of this 49ers team is something you can't overshadow. And I know they just lost the Super Bowl, which is
they lost some pretty
notable dudes as well. But they were able to rebound nicely, and I think they're still the most complete.
And
team.
Kyle would probably agree with you.
Yeah. His answer kind of links into mine. So quarterbacks minus Mahomes, because I think honestly, aside from Mahomes, there honestly are some big spots on the Chiefs that could be handled. Aside from them, quarterbacks are not weighed as heavily as many would think. And when we look at the top 5, we saw San Francisco 1. I think Detroit at 4 or 5.
Yeah, Detroit was 4.
Because I think we can all 3 of us can agree, neither Goff or Purdy are top 5. You could even argue top 10.
Purdy maybe.
I don't know.
I can even argue.
They're not top 5, 6, 7 guys.
Yeah.
And like, I think there should be just give us more time here. I think things are falling.
It's my first week back.
Yeah. Oh, I think top to bottom, both Detroit and San Francisco are like just perfectly. It's particularly Detroit. Shout out to them because I forget exactly who took the GM job in the last 2-3 years. He inherited one of the worst teams in a while, 100%. And he's flipped them 180.
Yeah.
Really did respect them for doing that. And again, both those teams made the NFC Championship last year. So it wasn't a guy like Jalen Hurts who did it. It wasn't a guy like Jordan Love, maybe.
Yeah.
Wow, is that really the best two quarterbacks you can think of in the NFC? Regardless, I think quarterbacks are obviously very, very important, but if the team around them is not A1, then I don't think it's really going to work.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, there were a lot of teams that were left off this list. I mean, specific, like my Buffalo Bills, for instance. I mean, you have top 2 quarterback in the league. We're not on this. I think they should have
5, top 3.
I'm top 2, which I think I think the Bills should have been at least 8 or I think they should have been ahead of the Browns. Honestly.
So are you saying that they should kind of weigh quarterbacks a little bit more?
No, I'm not.
Really?
No, I'm saying that
you like who the Bills are.
I agree with Kyle.
Jim Kelly would not be.
Jim Kelly would be very proud of me. No, but like I said, we're getting into like the lower end of this list. I do agree with Kyle.
Name one good receiver on the Bills.
What do you mean?
Exactly.
They're like.
Coleman?
That's a
They're unproven.
They're unproven. No, but I think we agree with the fact that the team around them is a lot more important to me at the very least.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Steelers have done that a lot, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Steelers not being on that list. I mean,
aside from quarterback, I think they did very, very well. Okay.
So that's going to be 8 agreements for you guys. I'm going to cut off your time there because we're going to have a fun little bit of a speed round. Unless you guys really want to target one of these last couple of questions. So, I mean, we could talk about Rick Carlisle if we really wanted to, but we're not going to.
I could get it.
So,
you should have taken that foul.
Brennan, plug all the socials. All
right, make sure you follow all our socials. We have been on a roll this week with content.
Yeah.
We released a couple videos. Korey's been killing it with the Instagram content.
Woo!
So yeah, make sure you keep following us. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're on LinkedIn now, so maybe go give us a follow on there.
Follow us on LinkedIn, guys.
Follow us on LinkedIn. Make those connections.
Follow Google Plus.
No, but seriously.
I made that joke already.
Yeah, exactly.
Any social media platform you can think of, we are most likely on. So make sure you go follow us there and continue watching, because without you guys, this podcast wouldn't be happening.
Absolutely. And one of those things you may be seeing is going to be a punishment if these guys can't get it done. But with 2 points needed, I need to ask you guys a very important question.
Sure.
We're going to play some NBA Conference Finals themed headbands. You both are a little bit familiar with this game, right? So one of you is going to be the guesser, and one of you is going to be the describer. And just a fair warning, there is some stuff here that like I named a thing, but I described what it is rather than saying exactly what it is. So you're going to have to
know most of all of these?
Most of all of them, but there are going to be things that you don't know.
Oh, Lord.
There might be some that you don't know. So like there might be some trivia that you'll have to answer yourself and then have to describe. So pick who is going to be your describer, who's going to be your guesser.
You want the
card.
You want it on.
You want the card.
Okay.
All right.
So all you need is 10, and we're going to have 2 minutes total. Go.
Is that good?
All right, so what am I allowed to do? Am I allowed to say?
Describe him. Just describe him.
So he played for the Hornets, and now he's on the Mavericks.
That's a lot, but go for it.
Yeah,
That's
he's like a solid role player, like a 6-man for the Dallas Mavericks right now.
No.
Think George, founding father of the United States.
Not Daniel Gafford, not PJ Washington.
George, like, come on, the first president of the United States.
George.
No. What's his last name?
Washington. PJ Washington.
Yeah, there you go.
I said PJ Washington.
That's what you said. Not PJ Washington. Go.
Washington.
Brennan might want to skip this one.
Yeah, skip that. Skip that.
Don't skip that one because I saw it.
Okay. All right, so it's an award that either like a guy like Luka, Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Kyrie Irving could win.
MVP?
Close.
Bill Russell MVP trophy?
No. Think another guy. Like a wizard. He
LeBron?
No, all right, skip that.
Well, no, I said LeBron. Michael Jordan.
LeBron.
Upside down. It's upside down. Shaq, Charles Barkley.
Centers.
No, the show they're on together.
Oh, NBA and TNT.
Is that?
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right, yeah,
that's
true.
It's the NBA, which unfortunately is going through.
All right,
so might be bought out by ESPN, which I mean.
Oh, what the hell?
It's the Magic Johnson Trophy. It's the Western Conference Finals MVP.
Well, you could have just said. Okay.
I didn't want to say I couldn't say Magic Johnson.
Also, one of the things I said here.
You said Wizard, and I thought Michael Jordan.
One of the things here was the 2014 Western Conference Finals. Who was in the 2014 Western Conference Finals? Do you know?
That was the Spurs.
It was the Spurs because they won 2014.
City?
Yeah, good job.
Okay.
I know that, yeah.
He didn't, so he skipped
What the hell?
He skipped that one. You could have just said Spurs, Oklahoma City, and then he would have guessed it. That would have been great.
I mean, yeah, would you know what year that was?
I would have probably not guessed 2014.
And then the other ones I had here was the team with the most Eastern Conference Finals wins historically, which
Boston.
that's easy. It's Boston Celtics, so just describe them. And then blown 3-1 leads, we can think about Golden State and Oklahoma City against each other. We can think about Jokic taking down all that stuff. So, fun stuff. And then the 1994 Western Conference
I wonder
Finals.
why you did that one.
I wonder why we did that one. That was the Houston Rockets. So with that being said, that's going to be it for our show. Hopefully we're going to have a little bit less like-minded individuals next time. But I mean, that's what the whole point of the show is. It's supposed to be agreement-based, not debate-based. Though I love debates.
I love debates.
It's a fun time.
I love debating.
Yeah, so fun times on Baseball
Johnson,
Podcast.
Of course.
Yeah.
Wizard.
Yeah, no,
There's a team called the Wizards. Wow, that
I wasn't
crazy confusing.
thinking when I said
Yeah,
that.
put Magic Johnson on the Wizards. That would have been perfect. Put him on the Orlando
Exactly.
Magic. Would have been perfect. All right, well, that's what it is. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.